I'm going deep down. I am expecting a shift from a so called very strong patriarchal society towards some empowerment of the women in a common household. And I think for Indian women cricket to grow, that also has to take place.
So yes, there are some men who have been, walking on show, they're walking and with the women cricketers and trying to help them. But at the same time, yes, there was a deep patriarchy involved in the BCCI sector. Having said that, I believe that now patriarchy will be questioned by all these men and women who support women cricket.
All right, let's now introduce our guests on India Connect. Joining me on the show today is Saba Karim. He's former India cricketer, also somebody who has served with the BCCI, and Suryanshi Pandey, a sports journalist. A very warm welcome to both my guests. Saba Karim, let me start with you. What a win and what a moment in history. This is something that generations had dreamed of. The Indian women's cricket team lifting the World Cup. Firstly, what were your thoughts when you were watching this match last night and when we finally won? And according to you, what was that turning point that transformed this team from contenders into champions?
Well, Neha, first up, many congratulations to this brilliant win that has been scripted by the Indian women's team. I was not only watching the game, I was actually calling it from the GeoStar studios. So, and I felt so proud and so honored to be part of this historic occasion. As BCCI has rightly said, this is a watershed moment for the Indian women's side. Um, I also look at it, if you remember 1983 win, Neha. Now, 1983, the winning 11 or the team members who were part of that, everybody remembers even now. And I think that is the kind of legacy which this current side will leave. That even after you have won, as many World Cups after this, all that will have some kind of importance. But the first win was very essential for Indian women cricket and also for the young cricketers, because all of us who grew up watching the 1983 win were truly inspired. We felt that we also belong at this international stage. We were inspired to have that self belief that the Indian team can beat the mighty West Indians. And I think similar kind of feeling I do expect from the young budding women cricketers who are looking up to emulate whatever the current Indian women's side has achieved yesterday. Now, there are a couple of other factors I want to point out now. Number one is what is the shift I'm expecting? I'm going deep down. I am expecting a shift from a so called very strong patriarchal society towards some empowerment of the women in a common household. And I think for Indian women cricket to grow, that also has to take place. This is number one there. Now, number two, I feel so far in India through BCCI's support, women cricket is still driven by men's cricket, and I'm talking about the financial side of it, the commercial aspect of it. Now, with this win, it is a strong possibility that the Indian women cricket in India through BCCI can stand on its own. It can garner its own support. It could garner its own commercial value, and I think that will hold huge significance as we progress to promote or to support more and more young and inspiring cricketers to come through the system and who can inspire to play for the country.
You make some excellent points there, Saba. There is no doubt that, one is reminded of that 1983 moment. I think the parallels are only natural. So let me bring in Suryanshi at this point. Suryanshi, I think it's only fair to say, and Saba's pointed this out too, that up till now, women's cricket was being played in the men's shadow. Do you believe this moment changes all of that? Far fewer resources, far less attention was being dedicated to women's cricket thus far. Do you believe that this is a turning point? This big win is going to be a game changer in that regard?
See, when we talk about women cricket, the history goes back to the time when India played their first ODI, that too at the World Cup. That was in 1978. So they got to play the ODI only when they got the participation in World Cup. Number one. So that shows that there was no preparedness when it comes to, preparing the young talent back then in terms of format. There was only test matches, and that interzonal level, or maybe Rani Jhansi tournament was there. So if we go back to that time, then definitely there were a lot of dearth in terms of training the talent. The when there was one international tournament, the first international tournament that women cricket joined, there was New Zealand and Australia, and that was in 1975, and Lala Amarnath was the first trainer who trained the women cricketers. And that too, let me inform you there that those cricketers were not the they hadn't played at any level. There was just interzonal competition, some Jhansi Rani tournament that happened in Chandigarh or Nainital, and from there, those talent were nurtured by Lala Amarnath at NIS, that was National Institute of Sports. So that's how this talent was nurturing during that time. Now, cut to 2017 when Mitali Raj really stirred the system through her leadership, through the way she used to address the issues in the press conferences. Even then, I tell you, I was reporting in 2018 to BBC, and I was there was some trial for T20s, senior women trial. Let me tell you, there was no arrangements done for a very, there was no hygiene maintained. Number one. Second, the rooms were very stacked. There was no room for having a very good dressing room kind of a situation. There was nothing like that. And the trials were happening when one of the players, there was also they were called in the last minute also. So this is the situation that was happening till 2018. What actually changed is, I personally feel, is when few key decisions were made. Number one, pay parity. Number two, when WPL came into it came in the picture. When Women Premier League came into picture, there were a lot of national camps happening. Sorry, not the national camps, but the camps that were happening where talent was scouted. So that's how I think that the narrative was kind of changing. And obviously Mitali Raj's 2017 World Cup final, even though they couldn't win, was the main catalyst in order to change the system for women cricket, in my opinion.
I think you're quite right. We have to recognize the contribution of players like Mitali Raj, who have in many ways paved the way for this big win by the present team, because these are changes that have taken place over a long time. This is really not a win that in a sense has been achieved overnight by women's cricket. Saba Karim, let me ask you this. You have also served as an official with the BBC. You've BCCI, I beg your pardon. You've also, of course, played cricket for India. But I want to ask you this. Everyone's now talking about the changes that have taken place over the years, incremental but significant. The equal match fees, for instance, which is now paid by the BCCI, and the fact that, and everyone's talking about it, the record prize money that's been announced by the BCCI for the current team, that has won the World Cup. Going forward, what more do we need to see on the ground? You were talking about how this needs to lead to a revolution of sorts on the grassroots level, but what change do we need to see in terms of infrastructure, domestic cricket, and also media visibility to ensure that this win for the women does not remain a one-off, but actually marks the beginning of a new era?
You know what, Neha? To be very honest, one could sense that this is going to happen because BCCI for the past, I think, post 2018-19, or actually post that 2017 World Cup loss in the finals, BCCI has actually kickstarted some wonderful programs to promote women cricket in India. Many people may not be aware. I think 2 or 3 seasons ago, BCCI also introduced under 15 cricket for India. It is played among all the different state units, just like the under 19s and the under 23 and the senior level. So BCCI on its own, along with so many state associations, have been working very constructively to bring in this massive change that we see now. And there's a lot of work happening at that level also to promote women cricket. There are some issues faced by a number of associations because even now getting young girls onto the cricket field is not easy. There are certain hurdles and obstacles they still have to face. That's why I mentioned the shift from a very heavily loaded patriarchal society towards more empowerment. Maybe this win can kickstart that kind of an attitude from a common household. So there are some issues which is still being faced by a lot of these state associations, where it's not easy to muster enough girls to play this sport. Hopefully, I think with this win, it will wake up everybody, all the state associations, along with the society, that you can have many more girls introduced to this sport. But and I reiterate my point that one could actually get this feeling that it had to happen, because the Indian women cricket side for the past several years have been doing quite well. Although as former cricketers we feel they should have finished much better, we should have won more tournaments. But these things take some time to excel. I think similar kind of story has also been repeated on so many occasions by the Indian men's side. So I think the Indian side, the women's side was almost there, and finally, when things went their way, they were able to beat some strong sides in this World Cup campaign, beating Australia in semi-finals, and then finally the Proteas in the finals. But they have some excellent cricketers who have done well for India the past 3-4 years, especially with the advent of Harman as a captain. She's been able to have that kind of vision, wherein she's been able to bring in some exciting cricketers, some exciting young talent, and along with Amol Majumdar, the support staff, BCCI, everybody together, they really worked very hard to reach a stage where India, before this World Cup started, were firm favourites to win this competition. And I'm so glad that eventually the Indian women team was able to manage it. But now, what kind of change we're expecting? It is just going to be a gradual progress now, Neha. Things are already in place. There is a structure in place. Now it is up to the state association, the district associations, the local clubs, the local academies. The work starts for them now. They need to encourage young cricketers, budding cricketers, reach out to maybe societies, reach out in that area where they have cricket academies, so that young cricketers are encouraged to join academies, and that will again we will have many more numbers, which will really help Indian women cricket to grow. That's the kind of scenario I'm expecting now going forward.
Well, we all expect to see massive changes on the ground. But talking about mindsets, Suryanshi, Sabha has repeatedly referred to patriarchy. So I have to ask you this question. It is an unfortunate truth that cricket has been associated with patriarchy in this country for the longest time. And former Indian women's team captain Diana Irulji, she has in the past quoted former BCCI President N. Srinivasan. And she says, when he became president, I went to congratulate him. He said, if I had my way, I would not let women's cricket happen. She goes on to say he hates women's cricket. And that BCCI is a very male chauvinist organization. They never wanted women to dictate terms or get into this space. And I believe Saba does not disagree with that. The question I want to ask you is, N. Srinivasan's outlook on this apart, do you believe that this change, in a sense, smashes that glass ceiling once and for all? Are we going to see that much needed change in mindsets, the patriarchy that has so far been associated with cricket? Have the girls smashed the patriarchy? Or does this sound a bit far-fetched, given that patriarchy really is so deep-rooted in this country?
See, when the stars shines, only then people come and appreciate it. So now, if we see, as Sabha sir has definitely, and he has clearly mentioned it, that now the time has changed, and definitely it has changed for the good, because now the struggle part is gone. What Indian woman has done, it's not just, it's a watershed moment in many sense. Yes, I agree that there was patriarchy even in BCCI and among the BCCI officials as well, but we cannot forget the contribution that Dalmia had in women cricket, and we also cannot forget that the man who was responsible to introduce cricket to women when women showed interest was a male. He was Mahendra Kumar Sharma. from Lucknow, and he wanted to promote women cricket. He tried his best. He started Women Cricket Association of India in 1973. Although to get the reinstation in BCCI, it took a lot of years. That too, in 2006, he could convince BCCI to include women cricket with BCCI, and then he became the BCCI secretary. So yes, there are some men who have been walking which on show, they're walking and with the women cricketers and trying to help them. But at the same time, yes, there was a deep patriarchy involved in the BCCI sector. Having said that, I believe that now patriarchy will be questioned by all these men and women who support women cricket. I tell you how, like there are some even players in the women cricket team, like Amanjot Kaur. She was bullied by her neighbors, by the boys who used to play cricket in neighbors, that you cannot play because you are a girl. But the entire family went against this patriarchal mindset and made Amanjot Kaur the player that we can see today. Especially, and then we see Shifali. Shifali Verma used to chop her hairs in order to get the access to the boys' net. So, all those things has happened because there was patriarchy. But now I'm telling you, Neha, now when the trophy is there, when the silverware is there in the hands of women cricket, that is why Mitali Raj wanted it so much in 2017, but it couldn't happen. This time, Mitali Raj's dream was fulfilled by Harmanpreet Kaur, who saw the same thing happening in 2017 because she was a part of that squad. So now Harmanpreet, Deepti Sharma, and in fact, Smriti Mandhana was also there in 2017 squad. And again, they saw the full circle coming for the women cricket. I'm telling you, as Sabha clearly mentioned it, now the time will come when the patriarchy will be questioned by these women and men who support women cricket. They will be, in the corner sitting and then just watching us win.
Absolutely. These are all inspiring stories. Even when we talk about the struggles and the hardships, fact is that these are tales of inspiration. And Sabha, let me ask you this. We're talking about what needs to happen at the level of the BCCI and cricket administration in India, and the Smash the Patriarchy campaign that we're talking about. But what about the mindset of the average Indian cricket fan? Last night, we saw massive celebrations across the country and on social media, which is something which is very rarely seen, frankly, in women's sport. Therefore, do you believe that with this, when we're also witnessing a cultural shift in how India perceives women athletes, do you believe we're going to see people take more interest in women's cricket and women's sports in general? Also, does this win mean that perhaps more Indian parents will be willing to let their young girls take up the sport?
Yeah, well, I do expect the entire mindset to change, and I'm more concerned about the parents getting involved in this and allowing their the girl child to take up not only cricket but any other sport for that matter. But this has already taken place, Neha, because we have won this tournament. Everybody's talking about it, but I've seen this cultural change over the past several years. For instance, whenever we had a WPL match at the Divai Partner, it always has had full house. Whenever India would play a bilateral engagement, either in Mumbai or in Surat or in Baroda, all these so-called smaller venues, it would always attract huge number of fans. And the number of fans would come to the ground to support and to encourage the Indian women cricket team, because everybody felt that Indian team has the required talent to win a World Cup. So eventually, all the expectations and the dreams of so many millions and millions of fans who would throng the stadium to watch the Indian women cricket team play, all that has been fulfilled. So I think hats off to the Indian cricket team to kind of delivering on the promise that they have shown for so many years. No wonder BCCI to a large extent has been extremely supportive, and I think since 2006, since BCCI has taken over Indian women cricket, it did take BCCI about 10 to 11 years for them to realize that even the Indian women cricket has got that kind of potential that can draw huge audiences whenever they go out to play. That is why, post that 2017 World Cup loss in the finals, it shook everybody. And BCCI also felt that this is the time to make this entire setup far more professional than what the Indian women cricket had faced before. So we saw some wholesale changes that is taking place. For instance, a very professional support staff was attached to the Indian women cricket team. They were given a lot of exposure. They would travel abroad to play matches. They would given enough exposure to play matches at home. BCCI introduced two, three new tournaments, and as I mentioned about 2, 3 seasons ago, they also introduced under 15, tournament for women cricket. So I think this shift has already taken place. Now I think I see a massive spurt in growth of women cricket. And when I talk about growth in women cricket, I want more and more young cricketers, budding cricketers, girl cricketers to take up this sport. Not only in metro towns, Neha, but I'm looking at emerging towns that should throw up more and more such cricketers. Someone like Kranti Gaur, who comes from Bulandshahr, that she's a great example. Amanjot Kaur, all these players who come from rural areas or smaller towns or emerging towns, they are the real story of this Indian women cricket team win, quite similar to what the males team had achieved some years ago. And I think the Indian men's team had become so strong because now you have players who have come in or who are part of the system from different areas or different backgrounds. And I can see a similar kind of a story being unfolded even with this current lineup. But
I
you know
think,
what, Neha,
okay, yes.
just to add one more thing. The current side stands tall because it stands tall on the shoulders of all those who have tilled the land before them. And I'm talking about those days when women cricket took shape in India, way back in 1975, 76, whenever it all started. Just imagine all such cricketers who played from that era till 2006, when BCCI took over the entire responsibility of running women cricket in India. Think of all such cricketers who face so much of difficulty but still manage to dream big, and we can see that their dreams also being fulfilled by this win that India achieved yesterday.
That's an excellent point. We cannot ignore the contribution of the past players because that clearly has paved the way for this historic win that we've witnessed. Let me come back to Suryanshi. Suryanshi, I think we can all safely agree that this big win is going to inspire an entire generation of young women and girls to play cricket for the country. Not just in the big cities, as Saba mentioned, but also in small towns. And we're all hoping really that this win does not end up as a one off, but that it becomes the foundation of a long lasting legacy for women's cricket in India. Therefore, in your view, what does the future of Indian women's cricket look like now? What do we need to see in terms of school programs and franchise leagues and the rest of it?
Number one thing that we have is we have full structure already ready when it comes to men's cricket. So all we have to do is copy paste that to the women cricket format. Second thing that we need is we need a ecosystem where we can train women cricketers as per their body requirements. Like for example, when a man trains, there is no harmonical change that they go through, while when we talk about a women's body, it goes through a lot of change. You and I are very much aware of that, Neha. So I think we need a conditional training, endurance training, with regard to keeping that thing in mind. So I think apart from whatever good expert physios that we have, we need to have a little bit of that sense as well to it. Maybe they can get training through NIS or sorry, through NCA, and they can level up their coaching sessions. So the thing is, we already, as Sabha mentioned it earlier also, we already have a setup which is already there for men's cricket. All we need is we need all that to be shifted to, or we can say shared with women cricket as well. The thing is, earlier, even in the corridors of men's cricket, they were in doubt that there is not much TRP, because the main thing that was there in the mind of BCCI while not supporting the women cricket and ecosystem was that from where we can generate the income, because most of the income comes by broadcasting rights. And when the broadcasters are not ready to live cast, in fact, I tell you, I think it was in 2013 or 2005, I don't remember clearly, but one of the World Cups match was there. Even the final match was not telecasted on the television. So that was the situation of women cricket. So the thing is, now when more the eyeballs will be, sorry, did
Go
so
ahead,
more
complete
the
your point.
eyeballs, yeah, more the eyeballs will be there on the women cricket, more BCCI can support. And this we saw during this World Cup, where we saw that during India Pakistan match, there was a record viewership. Then also during WPL, BCCI saw a lot of potential, because there was I remember that I was taking a sabzi from one of the vendors, and that vendor was holding the the phone in on the horizontal position and watching the match of women cricket, WPL. So that
Yeah.
is the craze that BCCI want to be among the audience. So I think now we have got the eyeballs, we have got the women winning the cup. All we need is the system that was there for men to be replicated on in the women ecosystem. That's it.
Well, there were plenty of eyeballs this time around. I think we can all say that safely. Just like, people used to say this about the 1983 World Cup winning moment. I think for years to come, people will talk about that exact moment when we won this World Cup and what they were doing and where they were at that moment in time. Saba Karim, final question to you as we wrap up this discussion. How does this big win change India's standing in world cricket, in your view? And also, if I may ask you, what are the lessons that the women's cricket team has for the men's side in terms of mindset and preparation? Our women are world beaters. I'm sure they can teach the men a thing or two.
I see this as the nation winning, Neha. I don't. I always look at cricket with gender equality, and I feel both men and women team, they inspire each other and they complement each other. And I think the Indian team members, also I'm talking about the men team members, they were highly enthusiastic, and most of them watched this final game. They've always been very supportive. And I'll get back to the point that Suryanshi was making, that the women team right now, even the state teams, they are given a lot of exposure even for practice sessions. For instance, the National Cricket Academy that has been converted into the Cricket of Excellence now, based out of Bangalore. The women team have spent a lot of time there, and the entire support staff has worked very hard with them. So what Suryanshi was mentioning, that we need to replicate, it has already taken place. What right now is required is that state associations also, they need to fall in line, so that there is a very strong message that goes across all the state associations, that you need to encourage, you need to have many more programs wherein you attract young cricketers to come to the fore. That's the kind of work which I do expect to take place now. Getting back to world cricket, I just get the impression, Neha, that even ICC wanted that there should be a new champion. And they actually wanted India to win, because this will not only, I think, spur the growth of women cricket in India, but also international cricket. And I say this because ICC is working very hard to globalize the sport, and I think this can be one medium that will help ICC to achieve that goal, along with men cricket. Yes, but you have this kind of belief, or this kind of appeal. I just get this impression that it may just get slightly easy for ICC to make this sport a truly a global sport. So I reckon overall, I think this win means a lot, not only for India but also for international cricket.
One would have to agree. The Aussies had won way too many times. I think a lot of people are glad to have new champions, and we couldn't be prouder that the new champions happen to be the Indian women's cricket team. Really, what an incredibly proud moment it has been for all of us, the entire country. The women have truly made history here, and we hope that, as I said earlier, this is the beginning of a long-lasting legacy. On that note, Saba Karim, Suryanshi Pandey, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you so much for joining me on India Connect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Cheers.
Thank you. All right. That's all the time we have on this special edition of India Connect, if we can call it that. After all, this really is a moment to celebrate the big win by the Indian women's cricket team, who have done us all tremendously proud. Thanks so much for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow.